What's good, everybody? I'm Blitz5 and I have a huge video for PUBG on the Xbox One. I'm sure you guys have already heard the news, but if you haven't, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here, and the 1.0 full release of the game of PUBG on Xbox One is finally here and releasing on September 4th, 2018. So as I record this video and post it, today is August 24th, 2018. So we are less than 2 weeks away from this being released. I think exactly 11 days because there's 31 days in August, if my math is correct. And this is where we are getting the full portion. Well, I say full in kind of quotes because it's not still a complete full game, but this is where we are getting the rest of the game, the third and final, well, not final, but the third map, Sanhok. This is the small jungle map in the game that's already on PC. We're getting Sanhok, war mode, custom games, achievements, all of that stuff, the Sanhok event pass, all of that stuff coming to Xbox. Some of it is being tweaked a little bit from PC, so it's not going to be the same. The event pass is going to be changed and more customized to what people on Xbox are used to with DLC and all that stuff. And the weapon skins, they haven't approved 100% if they're going to be coming and ready for the 1.0 release, but that stuff is heading into the game and coming very soon. And, you know, we'll have to see the differences from PC, like I said, but this stuff is coming in hot and really, really soon, and I'm very excited about this. They promised it during the summer. It's still the summer until about, you know, September 21st, whenever summer ends. I forget the exact date, but I was hoping this stuff would come in August. They just missed it by 4 days, but, you know, I'm still really happy that it's coming now and not at the very last day of summer. This is huge, and I really respect all the work that they're putting in to get this game back up to speed. So one thing that I want to say, if you guys have followed my page, if you're a subscriber or anything like that, it's been a little while since I've posted a video, about a week or two, and I was moving. I had a big family event that went on, so I've just been really, really busy. I haven't even had my computer set up for about 2 weeks. Super sad. Haven't been able to game, make any videos, which I really love doing. So I just wanted to apologize for that, and that next week I will be back in the swing of things, posting a ton of videos, working hard on YouTube, posting a lot of content, all that stuff. Just an unfortunate series of events that kind of happened. I've been a stressful last couple weeks for myself. So getting back into this update, just a few things I want to go over here for anybody that's kind of unsure what's going on with this update. Basically, this is going to be a huge update on September 4th. If you already own the game at the $30 price point, that's all you're going to have to pay. I mean, you don't have to pay any more money. If you own the game preview of the game, then you have the full version of the game. The game is going to cost $30. So if you don't own the game yet and you want to buy it at any point, it's still going to cost $30. It's not going to be $60, and that's it. It's just a $30 game. The achievements will come into the game. Allegedly, that if you've already done some of the achievements, when they put them in, they're going to just give them to you when that releases. So that will be interesting. And they're not really exactly sure what's going to happen with all the stats and everything that's been tracked so far, but hopefully that will just all fall into the game. And then also, there's a couple more things that PC is working on right now with like a training shooting range kind of thing. That we have the winter map coming, all that stuff. So we're getting closer to being in line with PC, but we're still a little bit behind. And hopefully by the time the winter map comes, PC and Xbox will be receiving them both. So I'm going to leave a bunch of links in the description box below about the updates, all these questions, stuff on Reddit. They've been compiling all of this information. So if you guys really want to look at everything, I suggest doing that, because this could be a half-hour video with all of the information that's going on. And then next, I just want to show, they posted a development letter. This is part of the Fix PUBG initiative, which you're not aware of this. Basically, PUBG recognizes that there's a lot of issues with the game. People have been complaining and all that stuff. So they devoted a portion of the website just called Fix PUBG, where they've kind of been discussing all the stuff that they're doing, a roadmap, all of the above, right? But most of this is focused on PC. And finally, they've posted something specifically to the Xbox One. I figured I would just skim over this and kind of explain everything to you guys. This, again, is very technical. So I kind of just advise that if you guys want to read this, I'll post, you can just click on the link down below and kind of go through it. A lot of this is like technical jargon about how the coding, networking, and how all the packets are being rendered. Basically, the overall summary of this for anybody who's not super interested in this, kind of like me, I don't know all about the coding and packets and stuff, is basically, in video games, there's obviously, everything is a code and a process. It's basically like a giant algorithm, right? When you shoot or fire or driving, everything is just codes and processes, and so many things are happening behind the scenes. And one of the issues that PUBG has is that their engine, they say here, their version of the Unreal Engine is client-server model. And therefore, the status of each actor, the objects and levels, characters, buildings, everything has to be updated through the server for each player. So basically every time you do something, it has to hit the server and then it hits all of the other players. So that creates a lot of server lag, especially when there's 100 players that are all doing their other things. They're all doing their own things, I should say. Kind of a tongue twister there. So they're working on kind of making that process more efficient. They kind of explain their process here, and then they show how they kind of changed it. They move the order of a couple of the things to make it better for us, and how they're basically trying to reduce as much of the loading process as possible. And they're doing this by, if things are off in the distance, they don't load as much. The characters that are off in the distance, some of their frames are dropped. They're just trying to focus on what's around you, what the game, like they're trying to focus on everything that's important to load. And I noticed that when you fly into the game right now, the map looks like N64, but really that doesn't matter because the view of the map when you're flying in doesn't affect the game. It's just kind of like a bonus thing. So anything that doesn't affect the actual gameplay of the game, they seem like they're dropping the frames of that, dropping the loading process, and that's all improving the optimization of the game, the loading, the server tick, all of that stuff. So I'm gonna go through that right here. Just going to skim through it just so you guys a couple charts that they've kind of shown in here. So one of the things they have is network lag and how they've improved this from patch 6 to patch 14. So what they have here is a bunch of charts. Basically, they're showing the delay in milliseconds. So what they're showing here is that on patch number 6, the 1.0 patch number 6, when there was less than 40 players alive, here was the delay. So we're going to look at blue because this is average, right? Because they're showing the longest, the shortest, average. So the average delay across gunfire, damage, gunfire, and movement was about, if you average the average, it was about 98 milliseconds, maybe 97 milliseconds. So that was the delay of damage, gunfire, and movement. And then by patch number 14, when there was less than 40 players alive, they actually got this down, the average, to about, what is this? Almost 20 milliseconds left. So the average was around 79 for damage, 77 for gunfire, and 80 for movement. So you can just average this out around 78. So almost a 20 millisecond drop in about 8 patches from patch 6 to patch 14 when there's less than 40 players alive. And obviously, when there's less players alive, it's easier on the server. When there's 100, it's at max capacity, and that's the most strain. So that's what they need to work on. And they show here when there's more than 85 players alive, the delay is actually still very, very high. It's almost around 150. So still pretty high there, still have a lot of work. But then you go down here even farther, they showed that the network lag between 2 players from patch 14 to patch 19, let's see here, so over 85 players, this was the really bad chart where it was 150 when there was over 85 players. And this wasn't so long ago, patch number 14. They've gotten this down all the way to around 63 for damage, 61 for gunfire, but it's actually still pretty high for movement. And I've kind of noticed that. I feel like after the digital analog change, the movement delay has kind of been weird, but this is a huge improvement. This is like less than half. From 14 to 19 in only 5 patches. So they're showing that they really are doing a lot of stuff here to improve all of the delay in the game, which I find to be great. They're doing a great job here. Then if you go back up, they're kind of just showing how long everything takes in milliseconds here, all of the functions, which is just a lot of technical stuff. Like I said, if you guys are interested in this, definitely read through it. Then they're explaining here how they're reducing some things here. They're reducing the frames on characters that are set, 1 frame on characters that are 70 meters away and 2 frames on characters that are 400 meters away, just to improve everything. Then they show here the kind of historical frames per second on average over the past month or so, maybe a little bit less than a month. This is all in 2018. So this is actually only about 2 weeks, really. So it would have been nice to see this chart, but it's probably pretty bad if you go back a couple months. But basically, even at the end of July, the frames were capping out around 18 and 19 frames per second. And then they just recently were able to get this up to about 22, 23. So they've improved this by about 4 or 5 frames, which is great. And hopefully this will continue in the right direction. Just kind of funny that they only showed this on a 2-week timetable. But what are you going to do? It just shows that they really are working and that patch 19 is improving the game a lot. And then they just go to, in conclusion, they really are working on doing the best that they can to improve the delay and the server rate and all that stuff. And a lot of these things, the desync, when you hide behind a rock and on your screen you're behind the rock, but then you still die, all that stuff is because of the server server issues, right, and server lag. It could be some connection stuff, but a lot of it is server based. So they're trying to do their best to work on that stuff, and that they really want, their goal is to get the server tick rate at 30 frames per second and to reduce all of those milliseconds down and down and down. And hopefully eventually they might kind of rework the server or how the game loads. And as more money comes in and as they get more developers, they will kind of fix all that stuff. And like I always say, a lot of people hate on PUBG and all the games that have issues, but specifically in this game, they kind of started flying their airplane. You know, if you look at the video game, the company as a metaphor, or PUBG, the game as a metaphor, PUBG kind of took flight and it wasn't finished. So they're trying to build an airplane in midair. And this is a common analogy that people use for like businesses or problems. So once you start flying, when you're trying to fix something in midair, it's very, very difficult. They can't, take the game away. I'm sure if they could take the game away for a month and redo it, it would probably be a lot better, but they can't do that now. So I think they're doing a good job for fixing the airplane while it's flying, and hopefully you guys can understand that and respect that. And I think this was great that this company showed a lot of insight. They admitted where their problems are. They gave a lot of information in there, and I respect their honesty. And they even said, hey, if you guys have skills and can help, please apply here to the PUBG Corp job. So I just really think this is cool of the company to do that. Still a big fan of the game, and I'm really looking forward to playing it more and also the 1.0 release. So I'm going to end the video here before it gets way too long. If you guys stuck around, I really appreciate it. If you are an old subscriber or watch this video to the end, or have been following my page, I really appreciate it and hope you guys understand that I haven't been posting in a week or two and that I am going to be back to the regular schedule. So as always, thank you all for watching. I'm Blitz5 and peace out.